Good morning. How is everybody doing? By the way, I want to assume that most members in this group speak Swahili. So if you're finding me for the first time, my name is Penny. I run a Facebook page called Keeping Up with Penny O. And I'm a regular person, as you can see. I don't work for anybody. I'm not expected to look a certain way, to behave a certain way, or say certain things. And it's because we want to normalize Facebook, to make people understand that people who are Facebook users are regular people. We are not like those days where, when people came on TV and it was a big deal, And when you work for a TV station or you work for a radio station, you have a producer who produces your shows, so that way you have to follow the rules. But the good thing about some of us, or what Facebook has done for some of us, it's given us the opportunity to come to these platforms as regular people who are not trained, and be able to talk to regular people who are at a point where they don't even understand that actually Facebook is a regular community like your village. I am from Nyandoche, and that's my home village. So now I moved from there and I came to New Jersey. I've been living in New Jersey for 29 years actually. And now we are living in digital times, and Facebook is a community. And that's why we are encouraging more people to tap into these platforms and ask for help when you need help. Don't be hesitant. The village you used to have, or the village you grew up in, is no longer there. This is your community. And we want to come here. We don't want to assume people know everything. If you're watching me and you already know what I'm talking about, you don't have to watch me. When you see somebody on Facebook and they're doing something you're not happy about, don't spend time with them, because eventually you will start either abusing them or saying something negative. So don't do that. Try to be as positive as possible, and let the people who want to learn. When you see a post that you're not happy about, just skip it. With that said, today we want to start talking about children. And this is the book. I read this book years ago, and this is the book I'm going to be getting my notes from. And it's a very good book. Although I said the last time, the writer is an American writer, and depending on where you're raising children, things are going to work in a different way, because the environment really matters. Some of the things that the writer has put here might not be applicable for somebody who's raising a child in the village in Nyandoche, and or someone who's in Nairobi but doesn't have a car. Some of the examples he gives, what is normal for this writer is not normal for you, because we are living in different places. So we want to start talking about our children in this forum, because it is a parenting group. So besides us, taking care of ourselves, we have a responsibility to take care of our children. So some of you might ask, if I have a family. Yes, I have a husband, and I always have to say this every time I come, because there's new people finding me. I have a 23-year-old boy who's a third year in college. I have a 20-year-old who's a second year in college. I have a 17-year-old who's a senior now, going to college in September. And I have a baby who's 10 in 5th grade. Then I have an adopted son in Kenya that I adopted in 2008. He's in university. So I have 5 children. So I'm just going to do a summary today as we start this series for talking about our children. And I can tell you from what I have learned, I was a present mom. I stopped everything. Once I decided I was going to be a mom, I literally stopped everything I was doing and focused on even the pregnancy from conception. Once I conceived my son, my oldest son, I was very careful what I was eating. I was into the whole pregnancy in preparation for my son to come. I stopped working around 3 months for my oldest son, because it was really difficult to be pregnant. And I stayed home for a year before before I went back to work. And my son was 1 year old. And then I put him in daycare. All those things, as a new mom, everything is just happening at the same time. What I can tell you, children don't come with a manual. There is no child that is born. I have 4 children. And I can tell you, all my 4 children, each one of them is doing their own thing. I've not seen any children, even twins, who are doing the same things. So on just like to start basic, where I have been for the past 23 years, children need structure. Structure means when you wake up, you know, they know what to expect. By the time they are like of age, even when they are crawling, you know, they don't have to know. You must create structure for your children every day, regardless of what's happening in your life, your stress, whatever is happening, because you're raising human beings that you're going to count on later in life. You need to create structure for these children. Your depression, you're abusing alcohol, you're working all the time, whatever you're doing, regardless of what you're doing, all that's going to go. But your children are going to grow up to be young adults, and they will not have structure. So structure comes as like the first thing. Once you have children, you have to put that structure in how you are operating. You have to have an operations manual. When you're hired in a place of work, they give you operations manual, so you have to have that. You need to discipline the children. You love the children, but let me tell you, if you don't discipline the children from the inside, somebody's going to discipline the children for you outside. You need to set the house rules, write those things that the children should follow, that they know that when we wake up, we do this, we do that, we do that, we do that. When it comes to eating, okay, I believe in involving your children in meal planning. Don't just cook and serve the children. For those of you who are in Kenya, you have housemaids. If your children ever end up in America, they're going to suffer. Make sure you are involving your children in meal planning. Meal planning means you take them to the kiosk to buy the food. You come and tell them to cut the tomatoes. You come and tell them to cut the onions. They help you, even if it means taking sticks out of the sukuma wiki. Involve the children as young as you can involve them. Tell them, bring this. So that way the children start having that kind of sense of understanding how their food comes to their table. Because some children, they're just done for everything, especially you moms in Kenya. You have a house help for the children and you think you're doing good. You're not doing good. Those children you're planning, you are helping them to fail. Oh my goodness, where did this sun come from? Let me turn the camera this way. Oh, the sun came too much. Okay, so food shopping. Carry those children. Take them to the shop with you. Tell them we are going to eat this, we buy this, we need oil, we need this. Make that list, okay? When the children are at a certain age, they should know their chores, what's expected of them, chores. Set those chores. Don't let the house help or the houseboy do all the work, because you're producing citizens who are not going to be productive, who are not going to have a routine, who are not going to have a structure. Assign the child a job. Like when my kids were like around 5, you can tell them it's your job to remove the shoes every day from this place and put them here. You can tell them it's your job to remove the trash. Little chores. Give the children those little chores. When it comes to homework, this was my daily structure that I did every day. When the children came home from school, they washed their hands. That's structure again. They washed their hands, they ate a snack, rested for like 1 hour, and then we focused on the school work. Okay, some of you who are missing parents, I don't know if it's the housemaid or who's helping your children with school work. At least after the children have eaten a snack, the children have played a little bit, sit down with them, reflect on the day, what they did at school. You need to be involved in your children's academic welfare. You can't just let the children deal with the teachers. Even if you don't know how to do the math, come and ask them, what were you told? What were you given? How to school? Get involved. Let them show you. Don't just let the teachers do the work. If the children are failing classes, okay, in my case, my children didn't fail, but I was not able to help them with math. I used to be that parent that would try to teach the children my way. When the kids go to a certain age, they did not want me to teach them because, you know, I was confusing them. I went to school in Nyando Cheivere. I went to school like a long time ago. If you're not able to help your children, get somebody to tutor the kids. Now you can do Zoom. You can get somebody to come and help them with the work, and it's going to make your work easy. Hold on. Wow, I am so sorry. Somebody distracted me. I'm so sorry. So you need to be aware when your children are struggling. That's what I was saying. I am so sorry. You need to be aware that your children are failing so you can get them the help they need. You don't have to be necessarily the one teaching the children, because sometimes some of you, the syllabus changes with time. So you don't expect to really help these kids. And now, even Divina is a teacher. She's teaching online. If your child is struggling with any kind of academics, if you're in the US and your children are struggling, if you're in this room, in this group, my daughter is a tutor. She can do tutoring on Zoom, and it's just easy to pay for somebody to help your children than you trying to help your children by yourself. And sometimes you're really thinking you really don't know. Okay. There's the cultural differences we need to talk about. Yeah, things that I did in Nyando Chebere is not what children are doing here. I'm raising children in America. Be aware of who you are and the children you're raising and the environment you're raising your children in. Don't try to do some things to your children that are just not applicable in your own environment, because when you do that, the children resent you. The children feel bad. Can you imagine forcing your children to do certain things that they've never heard of? Respect the environment. Respect the place where you are raising your children. Your children are the environment. You cannot make them to be like Nyando Chebere. I went to school barefoot. My kids are not going to understand that I went to school without shoes. Okay? If you're in a mixed marriage, sit with your spouse. If you're in a mixed marriage, like even another country, talk about the differences. So that way you're not telling the children to do one thing and your spouse is telling your children to do the other thing. And some of these things that I have down, like the dating, alcohol use, drug use, those are like for older children, which already that's the stage I am. Talk to your children about sex. Talk to your children about drugs. Talk to your children about money management. I start teaching my children to manage money when they're about 4 or 5 years old. But here is what I did. When I give them money, I make sure they've earned the money. And I developed a system where the children have to be... Oh, somebody's calling. I developed a system where the children had to earn the money. But if they were getting $5 a week, they didn't do their chores, I would deduct 50 cents. If they yelled at grandma, if they cried, like my daughter used to like to cry, so I used to punish. My husband and I sat and wrote a list on the wall of things that, if they did, then we are going to deduct their allowance. So by the end of the day, the end of the week on Fridays, when we used to pay them, sometimes they will be on negatives. So teach your children how to manage money. Don't just take chances. Teach them from when they are like 4 or 5 years old. Give them money and let them know that when you commit a crime, your money is going to be deducted. You are going to be on a negative, So don't just assume that children are going to learn how to use money. Children don't assume how to use. They just can't imagine how to plan the money. You have to teach them from 5 years old. The last thing, children learn from modeling. Don't expect good kids when you're a bad parent. Whatever you're doing in front of your children, don't tell children do what I tell you and not what I'm doing. Modeling is everything. Why is modeling everything? These children are the children that are going to raise you when you're going to get old. When you get old, you're going to be raised. You go back from square one. These are the children you're going to count on to wash you, to feed you, to do all these things, to take care of you like a small child. You have to model good behavior to your children. And like my mother always says, if there are things you might like gossiping, women like to gossip. If there are things you must do, bad behaviors, try to protect your children by not showing them those bad things. Don't talk don't talk about your children's auntie. Don't talk about the children's uncle. Don't talk about your husband, your wife in front of your children. Those things do affect the children, especially the small, like 5, 6 year olds. Everything you say, they take it like a sponge. A parent's power that they have on their children is very powerful. So model good behavior and find somebody who is going to mentor you through this program. Don't just sit there and wait to have good kids and successful children. Successful children are not there. Successful children are built, and it takes a lot of discipline. It took me almost 17 years By the time my oldest son got a driver's license, that's when I took a break. So I will tell you, I always had 2 to 3 jobs at the same time. Because when I clock out of work here at 3, when I get home, I used to leave here at 2:30. When I get home at 3, I get in another shift. My shift started as I got home. I went straight into the shower, you know, got the kids, washed their hands, let them eat the snack. We start dinner, and then you drop them for whatever activities they have. I run into the gym while they are doing the activities, okay? We come home, eat dinner. By 9 p.m., 9 p.m. in my family for years, we were all in my bed praying. I'd ask all of them to sit down and take turns in praying. I still have the videos. I used to record them when their eyes are closed. Believe me, I don't call myself successful, but I want to talk to young moms, young dads that are starting. Okay, at least there are things I look back and I'm proud that I knew that that was the way. I don't have too many regrets. I do have some regrets, like I didn't teach them Swahili, which now I'm working on it. Divina is going to help me. She's going to teach my children Swahili. I should have done better. So we learn from other people who've been there. May the Lord God bless you. Thank you for watching. If you've not liked my page, be kind enough and watch my page. Like my page and subscribe. Okay, I have a YouTube channel. It's all free, and we are going to work together as a team so that way we can succeed. Because if I'm successful, you are successful. Grace, I see you, and thanks for watching. Cheers, guys. Have a lovely evening.